By the time I'm in the 3rd grade, my mom and dad are barely speaking. And sometimes when we're alone, my mother asks me, "Who do you love the best, honey? Me or your dad?" I always tell her, because if I didn't, she'd start to cry. My mother makes me go with her to the new Monterey Lutheran Church every Sunday, and I hate the hard pews and the man up front talking about the Son of God dying for us on the cross. And the organ music sounds like cows talking, too. And it's not fair that my father gets to stay home. Sunday school's better than church, and I like the way Miss Stephanie explains Bible stories. But she thinks I ask too many questions, like about this doubting Thomas. The story involves a man who doesn't believe Jesus has come back to life. Thomas will only believe it when he sees Jesus with his very own eyes. And then there's a guy in the story named Peter who waits for Jesus by the Sea of Galilee to see the nail holes in his hands. And when he doesn't show up, Peter says, "Guess I'll just go fishing." When I tell Miss Stephanie my dad and me go fishing all the time, she puts a shush finger up against her lips because I talk too much. "Why doesn't God have a birthday like Jesus?" I ask my mother. "Because he always was and always will be. But everybody has a birthday, don't they?" "Not God." "Who came before God?" "Nobody. He was first." "Well, then I feel sorry for God." "Why's that, Nicky?" "Because he didn't have anyone to play with growing up. So I really wish he would at least have had a birthday." "Why a birthday, honey?" "Because God's birthday would be even more important than Christmas, so I'd get better presents." "Well, don't you just have some interesting ideas sometimes?" "Do you know that Daddy doesn't believe Jesus is going to come back to life someday?" "Why does this not surprise me?" "He says Jesus coming back is like a sign he saw in a bar once that said, 'Free beer, tomorrow.'" "Your father says a lot of things, honey." "What's it mean, that sign about beer tomorrow?" "Please go out and play now because your mother needs to have a word with your father." That afternoon, my father asks if I want to go fishing under the wharf and catch some sand dabs for supper. Sand dabs are these little flat fish my mother dips in cornmeal and fries until they're crispy brown and so tender bites of it fall off your fork. We bend over to walk along the catwalk plank under Fisherman's Wharf with our rods, a paper bag of raw shrimp, and the catch bucket. We bait up as the tidal swells bend around the black telephone pole Wharf supports, sharp barnacles making the scratched water hiss. Right below us, the water is so shallow and clear, we can see the eyes of the little flatfish buried in the sand. My shrimp drifts in front of one, its scissors-looking mouth closing around the bait. I twitch my rod tip up, and the hooked little fish flutters back and forth over the bottom as I reel it in. Sometimes we can catch 15 or more sand dabs in just an hour, and we have at least that many now when my heart jumps into my throat because a big flounder is rippling in out of the deep water. It settles right under us and must be 2 feet long, maybe even longer. "Double bait your hook," my father whispers, "and let the shrimp drift past him. You catch it and he'll be dinner all by himself." My hand is shaking as a swell drifts my shrimp right in front of the flounder, and it wriggles forward, then scissors its mouth around the bait. "Strike, Nick," my father whispers, and I yank the rod tip up like raising an axe handle over my head. The spinning reel sizzles out line. "Good job, son," my father whispers, as the flounder runs out toward deeper water. "Don't horse him or he'll break off." I twist the star drag a little, the rod alive, bending double, then relaxing, and then bending double again. I'm holding it like a baseball bat, the butt against my stomach, as the fish finally stops, and I reel back some line before it runs again. Finally, splashing on the surface under us, my father grabs the line and pulls the flopping fish up hand over hand. Lifting it toward the catch bucket, the huge flounder makes one last Ewing thrash and throws the hook, and then bounces off the bucket edge and smacks flat back onto the water. It floats for a second and then swims slowly away into the shadows of the deep water. "Don't cry, son. You'll catch another one someday." "I'm not crying," I say, trying not to because my dad doesn't like it when I do. "You hooked him and played him great," my father says, his big hand resting on my shoulder. "Is Mommy mad at you about Jesus?" "And other things lately, Nick. It's complicated." "I don't understand complicated, Daddy." "Well, I know what it means, but sometimes I don't understand it either, son. Why does Mommy ask me if I love her better than you?" You're getting way above my pay grade with that one, son. Let's just go home now so you can tell your mother all about the big fish that got away today. And tell her you're gonna catch it again, you're sure, tomorrow. Tomorrow, really? Maybe, or maybe not. But wouldn't it be pretty to think so, son?